So the canning line, we got the American AT1. It's awesome in that it sits on a little 2x4 push cart. It's all washed down, and it even has a little drip tray that sits underneath the actual mechanical part of the canning line. The idea behind that is that it catches all your runoff, goes through a single drainage outlet into a bucket or into a drain line, or if you're fancy, you have floor drains. We are not fancy. We do not have floor drains, which is another big selling point for this machine. What we didn't realize is that for some reason there were additional drainage holes drilled in the cart. And we thought, oh, everything's gonna get caught in the drip tray. We'll plumb that to a bucket. Bucket will run to our dump line and we'll be good to go. We didn't realize just how prone that line was to kinking, and that the overflow would then run onto the cart, and rather than go down to a single low point, it would just drain through the nearest hole that had been drilled into the top deck of the cart. That was a huge learning experience, because it will drip everywhere if you don't plug those little holes and build up the drip tray just a little bit higher. We use gaffer's tape, which we found works enough to channel everything to the single drainage point, and also be relatively easy to get off at the end of the day, so we can clean the whole system off and start it back fresh. We also learned that depending on how the cart is balanced, the star wheel that infeeds the table can get really out of whack. Something we didn't quite catch was that in moving it, that alignment shifted. So anybody that may have heard me ranting and raving, it was learning how to recalibrate the orientation of that star wheel. Because when it doesn't line up, you will shred the top of your beautifully labeled, impeccably filled can into a razor-edged top of death, which then has beer spewing out everywhere, which makes for a very bad day. The first canning run we did went pretty smoothly other than the dripping. It was the second canning run that we experienced the death wheel, as I have now dubbed it. On the upside, it forced us to learn all the nitty-gritty about how to calibrate, realign, and retest the machine. So at this point, anybody that has questions, pretty much been there, done that. Still think it's a fantastic machine. I just wish the drip tray was maybe an inch taller, and that they didn't drill holes in the top deck of the cart, because if it spills out, that just flows on the floor, which defeats the purpose of the drip drain. Now that we've figured out most of the ins and outs, the little quirks of the system, when we went back in to do the Hermit's graph, that batch actually went flawlessly. We had one person successfully can about 550 of them in, I'm trying to think how many hours that took me, probably about 4 hours with setup, breakdown, moving everything around solo, getting them in cases, getting them all snapped together. It went great. And taking that, today we're going to be canning up Dark Magician, which is our black currant braggot. So you can all look forward to seeing that real soon.